commercial, taxation and criminal matters. He has also served as a public prosecutor for NCB, CBIC, DRI and represented the Union of India and the state of Maharashtra in several high-profile cases, including defending the Union of India in a case under the Enemy Property Act concerning the house of Mohammed and challenging the constitutional validity of provisions in the Prenatal Diagnostics Act. Additionally, Justice Sethna has served as an arbitrator, mediator, amicus curiae in cases concerning prisoners' rights during COVID-19. He has taught law, just moot courts, contributed to legal writing and has authored important orders across several branches of law as a judge. Thank you so much, sir, for being present here today for unveiling the landmark movement of policy. Ms. Khooshnum Daviervala is a partner at Mulla in Craigie and Caroe, one of Mumbai's respected full-service law firms. She completed a Bachelor of Commerce from Sethna College and an LLB from Government Law College in Mumbai in 1998. Ms. Daviervala has been associated with Mulla in Craigie and Caroe since 1998 and brings over 28 years of rich experience in both contentious and non-contentious matters. Ms. Daviervala is enrolled as a solicitor of the Supreme Court of England and Wales and serves as member of the Bombay Bar Association. Her expertise lies in handling high-stakes disputes on corporate insolvency matters, having successfully defended a major multinational company in an income tax dispute involving approximately Rs 350 crores before the Bombay High Court. Beyond tax law, she manages mergers and acquisitions, winding up proceedings, property disputes, and land redevelopment matters. Ms. Daviervala has always encouraged and supported the endeavors of the magazine to foster the writing talent among young students. We are very grateful for the presence as guest of honor. I'd like to call upon our principal and editor-in-chief, Dr. Asmita to deliver the welcome address.
Ma Saraswati Lavandan. Good morning to our esteemed chief guest, Honorable Justice Shri Advait Sethna sir. Our distinguished guest of honor, Ms. Khooshnum Daviervala, respected faculty members, the professor in charge, and member of the magazine committee, as well as my dear students. It is a matter of great pride and joy to welcome you all for the launch of 95th edition of MéLAWnge, the annual magazine of Government Law College. I am mentioning 95th edition. Today's occasion is not just releasing the magazine, it is about celebrating a remarkable journey of 95 years. A journey that reflects the intellectual spirit, creativity, and evolving perspective of generations of students who have walked through these historic corridors. MéLAWnge has always been more than a publication. It is a platform where the ideas find voice, where opinions take shape, and where the young minds engage with their writings, with law, society, and the world at large. In every article, poem, and reflection, one can see the courage to question, the passion to express, and the discipline to think critically. This edition of MéLAWnge consists of report of every committee depicting the activities carried out by these committees throughout the year. I extend my sincere appreciation to the magazine committee for their dedication and hard work in bringing out this edition. The efforts behind such publication often goes unseen, but it is this commitment that sustains a legacy of such excellence. We are deeply honored by the presence of Honorable Justice Advait Sethna sir, who is our alumni. He is attached with this institution from his studenthood, and I think he is coming here for Many a times, on many occasions, we take opportunity to invite him. On behalf of Government Law College, sir, we welcome you. We know that his distinguished journey in the legal field stands as a source of inspiration for all our students. I also warmly welcome Ms. Khooshnum Daviervala, whose professional accomplishments reflects both excellence and integrity in legal practice. She is practicing from 1998, I think. Your presence today makes this occasion truly special, madam. On behalf of Government Law College, I welcome you. Dear students, as future custodian of law, your ability to think, to write and articulate is as important as your knowledge of statutes and judgments. A magazine like MéLAWnge nurtures this very ability. It sharpens your voice and strengthens your perspective. I think it also develops your writing skill. As we celebrate this milestone of 95 years, let us reaffirm our commitment to pursuing this legacy while continuously evolving with time. May this platform continue to inspire thoughtful dialogue, creativity, and excellence in the coming years. I would like to conclude with the lines: a thought when writes becomes a voice. A thought when we write, it becomes a voice. And a voice when shared becomes a force. A voice when shared, it becomes the force. May MéLAWnge continue to be the force. Thank you, and my heartfelt congratulations to everyone involved. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. I would like to request ma'am to present a token of appreciation to our Chief Guest, Justice Sethna. I would like to request our Executive Editor, Professor Daphal, to present a token of our appreciation to our guest of honor, Ms. Khooshnum. I would like to request our Chief Student Editor, Ms. Aaryaa, to present a token of our appreciation to our Principal and Editor-in-Chief, Dr. Asmita. I would like to request our Chief Student Editor, Ms. Isha, to present a token of her appreciation to Professor Daphal.
The annual college magazine of GLC, MéLAWnge, has been chronicling all the activities of our college for the past 95 years. Year after year, it has provided a platform for the literary skills of law students in the legal as well as creative writing arena. This task, carried out by the magazine committee, is a daunting one. It involves copious amounts of brainstorming, curating, editing, designing, and effort by the entire team. Today, we will launch the culmination of a year's worth of labor, that is, the 95th edition of MéLAWnge. Apart from creating MéLAWnge, the magazine committee also organizes 3 annual essay writing competitions in order to encourage students to write and thus hone their literary skills. These are the Dinesh Vyas Memorial Legal Essay Writing Competition, the Bell's Literates J.E. Dastoor Short Fiction Essay Writing Competition, and the Sir Dinshaw Mulla Legal Essay Writing Competition, all of which received an overwhelming number of submissions again this year. The committee also organized its annual flagship debate and event, Knockout, which allowed participants to engage in an enthralling debate on the topic of language mandates in states, preserving culture or alienating communities. Additionally, we also hosted the 14th edition of Lex Cryptic Crossword Competition, organized by our very own Professor Kishu Daswani, which features a fun-filled cryptic puzzle and a wide array of sleuthing games. Throughout the year, the committee accepted articles, researched and designed each of the segments of this edition of MéLAWnge. It has been a journey of learning for everyone involved in the making of this publication, which we all gather here today to launch.
I would like to request our respected Chief Guest, Honorable Justice Advait Sethna, Guest of Honor Ms. Khooshnum Daviervala, our Principal and Editor-in-Chief Dr. Asmita Vaidya, and our Executive Editor Professor Daphal, to formally launch the 95th edition of MéLAWnge by cutting the ceremonial ribbon. We hereby declare the 95th edition to be launched. It gives us immense pleasure to introduce to you the 95th edition of MéLAWnge. It is a moment of pride and privilege for the magazine community to have produced another edition of this esteemed publication and to leave our contributions in this 95-year-old legacy. Please allow us to give you a few glimpses of this edition of the magazine.
This year marks an extremely special edition as the magazine committee had the privilege to interview Honorable Retired Justice Arjun Kumar Sikri. The interview provides valuable insights into his legal journey, his advice for law students aspiring to be effective judges and counsels, as well as answers to questions asked by students of GLC, amongst others. The transcript of the interview is absolutely inspiring and is a delight to read and can be found within the pages of the MéLAWnge. The magazine committee also organized its annual debate, Knockout, where two teams, each consisting of an ex-student of GLC and a current student of GLC, battled it out against each other. The topic of the debate was language mandates in states, preserving culture or alienating communities. We had ex-student Ms. Isha Sheth and final year student Mr. Ram Gupta for the proposition, and Ms. Malika Dandekar and final year student Mr. Lay Lalka for the opposition. We saw an overwhelming response to this competition and the winners were declared via a vote by the audience. The debate was moderated by Senior Advocate Venkatesh Dhond and Senior Advocate Mustafa Doctor. On the topic of divisiveness, Outlook, another segment of our magazine, features the opinions of students on a dual-edged topic of contemporary relevance. This year, we had students pen their thoughts on the topic of women in judiciary, breaking glass ceilings or token representation. I would now like to call upon Astha and Ishan to narrate a small snippet from their piece on breaking glass ceilings, women in judiciary.
Good morning everyone, I am Astha here. This is Ishan Gandhi. We are here to speak about an article we have written for Outlook segment of MéLAWnge, Women in Judiciary Breaking Glass Ceilings. I wrote in favor of breaking glass ceilings because I generally believe that women in judiciary have been subjected to deep-rooted systematic patriarchy and that at times the appointment have been used as a convenient cover for the very misogyny that the system refuses to address. No matter how accomplished a woman is, she is repeatedly reduced to the gender roles that society has decided for her. An example of this, as mentioned in my article, is Justice Leela Seth, a woman of extraordinary distinction who still had to endure chauvinistic behavior from her male colleagues where instead of being acknowledged as Chief Justice, she was casually assigned to oversee tea arrangements, simply because she was a lady judge. Time and again, women in judiciary have spoken about the conditions they are forced to work in, conditions which are considered as basic necessities. The absence of restrooms and nursing facilities is not a minor inconvenience. As Justice B.V. Nagaratna has pointed out, women are essentially being pushed out of the system, expected to step away when they are married or have children, mainly because the infrastructure to support them simply does not exist. Now, even if these appointments were made with the intention of token representation, their verdicts and their judgments have broken glass ceilings repeatedly and undeniably. I won't deny that women remain significantly underrepresented in Indian judiciary, and yes, the gap needs to be addressed. But despite the underrepresentation, the bias and the barriers, these women have showed up and has prevented the judiciary from becoming an all-boys club.
And in my article, I also added upon to this through the biggest change and most substantial discovery through my research of women breaking the glass ceiling in the judicial system was when I came to discover the concept of Nari Adalat or Mahila Adalat. Mahila Adalats are where local women are taught by NGOs to be mediators by empowering them with gender studies and to tackle issues related to women within their own communities, localities or villages. It does not only help the surrounding women of the society, but also significantly changes the lives of the people part of the Nari Adalat. Take Chandravati for instance. She is a woman from Uttar Pradesh who is 50 years old and had to drop out of 5th grade due to limited opportunities and extenuating circumstances. However, participating in her local Nari Adalat gave her an opportunity to educate herself about gender studies and a platform to discuss often sensitive issues pertaining to women in an overwhelmingly patriarchal society. Today, she leads her own Nari Adalat and is a respected part of the community, breaking significant glass ceilings in a place where this was unheard of. While it would be insensitive and quite frankly inaccurate to say that female representation has achieved parity in the Indian judiciary, it is undeniable that the recent trends suggest an optimistic future. Thank you.
Thank you, Thank you, Aaryaa and Isha. I would like to call upon Neity to narrate a small snippet from her piece on token representation, women in judiciary.
Good morning everyone, my name is Neity and I've written for the Outlook segment of the magazine. The topic for this year was Women in the Judiciary, Breaking Glass Ceilings or Token Representation. My article argues for the second. Through my article, I try to honestly examine whether the progress that we celebrate in this space reflects genuine and lasting change or whether there is still a much longer road ahead than what we are willing to acknowledge. I opened my article with two moments that I found particularly worth reflecting on. Firstly, Justice B.V. Nagaratna will become India's first female Chief Justice in 2027, which is a genuinely historic achievement for the system. And yet, she will serve for only 36 days before her retirement. One cannot help but wonder, will these 36 days be truly enough to shatter all the glass ceilings that we hope to break through our first female Chief Justice? Secondly, last year, she was also the sole dissenting voice in an appointment where 3 women senior to the appointed judge were not elevated. I use these moments not to diminish what has been achieved, but to ask what they tell us about the pace and depth of change. The article then turns to data. 1 woman among 34 Supreme Court judges. No woman elevated to the court since August 2021. A mere 14% representation across high courts, with 8 high courts having only 1 female judge and 3 having none at all. These numbers paint an image which point to a need for greater transparency and accountability mechanisms in the appointments process. Because without those, it becomes difficult for any imbalance in appointments to be meaningfully addressed. But my argument goes beyond just statistics. It explores the subtler pressures that women in the legal profession often navigate as a whole. Expectations that their male peers are rarely held to. To be ambitious, but not too much so. Confident, but within acceptable limits. Progressive, but not in a way that unsettles. And when mistakes are made, the scrutiny is rarely equal. These are quiet, but definitely consequential forms of inequality. My central idea here is that when women are included, but still expected to fit within structures that were not built with them in mind, this inclusion risks becoming symbolic rather than substantive, which is precisely what tokenism is. I end my article by saying that mere inclusion is not enough. True representation means women don't just have a seat at the table, they also have a voice that shapes the room. Thank you.
Thank you, Riddhi. India is a state of diverse languages, and to nurture this very diversity, we carefully curate a segment in our magazine called Terra Lingua, which literally translates into language of the land. It aspires to embrace various languages other than English. It extends an opportunity to the students at GLC to hone their literary skills in any language that they are proficient in. I would like to call Gayatri Bhansali to narrate a small snippet from a piece titled Sar Salamat to Pagdi Pachas.
Good morning, everyone. I would like to begin by thanking Magazine Committee for giving me this opportunity yet again. I am in my final year right now, and I have been writing for Magazine Committee since my first year. And this time it's very special because perhaps this is the last time I will be stepping on the stage of GLC, and I thank Magazine Committee once again. This Hindi article titled Sar Salamat to Pagdi Pachas is about health and how important health is for all of us. ये शीर्षक एक कहावत नहीं है, एक याद दिलाने वाला सच है जिसे हम सब जानते हैं पर मानते नहीं हैं। इस साल मैं बहुत बीमार थी, इतनी बीमार कि मैंने कभी सोचा नहीं कि मैं इतनी बीमार हो सकती हूँ, इतनी बीमार कि किसी ने नहीं सोचा कि मैं इतनी बीमार हो सकती हूँ। तब मुझे एक बहुत साधारण सी बात पता चली कि सेहत क्या होती है, और उससे भी ज़्यादा कि ये जब नहीं होती है तब क्या होता है। हम अक्सर सोचते हैं कि हमारी पढ़ाई, हमारा करियर, हमारे रिश्ते यही हमारी असली पूंजी है, पर जब शरीर साथ छोड़ देता है या जब मन तुम्हारा लगा नहीं रहता, तब तुमको पता चलता है कि ये साधारण सी बात सेहत की अहमियत क्या होती है। इस लेख में एक उदाहरण कोर्ट रूम से है। कोर्ट रूम क्योंकि इस उदाहरण से हम सब रिलेट कर पाते हैं, क्योंकि हम सब की इंटरेस्ट का विषय है। जैसे एक वकील जज के सामने बहुत ही आत्मविश्वास से खड़ा होता है जब तक उसका केस मजबूत होता है, लेकिन जब उसका केस हल्का हल्का कमजोर होने लगता है तब वह आत्मविश्वास भी गिरने लगता है। वैसे ही सेहत का है, ये जब तक होती है तुमको पता नहीं चलता, और जब ये गिरने लगती है, जब ये पड़ने लगती है, तुमको पता चलता है कि ये कितनी ज़रूरी है। इसी संदर्भ में मैंने मेरे लेख में राकेश झुंझुनवाला का एक उदाहरण लिया है, जिन्होंने अपने कार्यकाल में, अपने जीवन काल में अपार संपत्ति अर्जित की, पर इनकी सेहत के ऐसे हाल थे कि ये बिल्कुल अपने आखिरी दिन तक सेहत के साथ जूझते रहे थे। आगे ये लेख एक व्यक्तिगत अनुभव से परे एक सामाजिक पूंजी के रूप में दिखता है। सच्चाई ये है कि सेहत सबके पास बराबर नहीं होती। कोई जन्म से ही स्वस्थ होता है तो कोई जीवन में पूर्ण काल अपनी सेहत से जूझता रहता है। और आज के समय में सेहत केवल शारीरिक नहीं बल्कि मानसिक भी है। एंजाइटी, डिप्रेशन, बर्नआउट जैसे शब्द केवल मेडिकल टर्म्स नहीं बल्कि आम चर्चा का, रोजमर्रा की चर्चा का विषय हो चुके हैं। एक और पहलू जो इस लेख में उभर के आता है वो है संवैधानिक पहलू, जिससे हम सब वाकिफ हैं। अनुच्छेद 21 के तहत हमारा जो सेहत का अधिकार है वो एक मौलिक अधिकार के रूप में देखा जाता है। लेख में एक और रूपक है जिसमें व्यक्ति की सेहत और राष्ट्र की सेहत के बीच में हल्की हल्की तुलना की गई है। जैसे हम अपने शरीर की स्थिति को नापने के लिए बीपी, कोलेस्ट्रॉल, शुगर इन जैसे मापकों को देखते हैं, वैसे ही अगर एक राष्ट्र की सेहत के अंदाज़ा लगाना हो तो उस राष्ट्र का जीडीपी, उस राष्ट्र का एम्प्लॉयमेंट रेशो, इन सब चीज़ों के बारे में देखा जाता है। इसीलिए जब हम बीमार पड़ते हैं तो हम डॉक्टर के पास जाते हैं, और जब राष्ट्र बीमार पड़ता है तो वो IMF के पास जाता है। इस लेख का एक छोटा सा अंश पढ़ना चाहूँगी। जीवन की दौड़ में हम अक्सर पगड़ी बचाने की कोशिश में सिर को ही दांव पर लगा बैठते हैं। ये लेख उसी उलझन को सुलझाने की एक विनम्र कोशिश है, क्योंकि अगर सिर बचेगा तो पगड़ी 100 बार वापस आएगी। Before concluding, I would like to briefly mention another student article that I've co-authored. It is titled "Square Footage: A Mirage of Space in Property Sales." This article discusses and simplifies the seemingly very simple concepts of carpet area, built-up area, and super built-up area, which are often used to mislead the buyers. And this article also highlights how buyers end up paying for something which they are not going to use, which is not their share in the property. I would encourage everybody to read both these articles and all other articles that are there in the magazine this time. I hope you start reading, and once you start reading those articles, they keep you hooked till you complete them. Thank you.
Thank you, Gayatri. This year's magazine contains a number of articles by several students of GLC on a multitude of topics, ranging from lawless rise of AI to a satirical piece on institutional bureaucracy and a poignant write-up on the Manipur conflict, among others. I would like to now call upon Ananya to narrate a small snippet from her piece titled "The Manipur Story."
A very good morning to all the students here and the dignitaries present here. My article is titled "The Manipur Story." It is about the Kuki-Neity conflict. Reminiscence, the tinkle in the eyes of a Kuki farmer when he looks at kids who remind him of himself, who once dreamed of moving beyond the hills towards better life and better opportunities. We all have heard of the story of Romeo and Juliet, of Heer and Ranjha, two lovers separated by the world, reaching for each other across every barrier placed between them. Now let me tell you about a famous Manipuri epic, the epic of MéLAWnge. It is of two divine lovers in the ancient kingdom of MéLAWnge, who were reborn across 7 generations, 7 lifetimes, separated by the fate in each one of them. Yet they always find their way back. The Manipur story is a transcript of this very reminiscence. The Kukis and Neitys are two distinct opposite tribes. Neity is a sophisticated community considering land as a sacred painting, whereas Kukis, on the other hand, are nomadic. Thus, there exists a very fundamental clash in these two communities. The British used this by deliberately settling the Kukis in the hilly areas, away from the mainland, using them as armed sepoys in Manipur's hills, using them as buffers against invaders from the Myanmar and the Chin region. The divide between these two communities was exacerbated due to this hill-valley divide. Mutual dislike and distrust results in constant conflict, directly affecting the lives of the Manipuri people. The Neitys seek scheduled tribe status, which was rejected twice, in 1982 and 2001, for lacking tribal characteristics. Yet they pursued, because Section 158 of the Manipur Land Reforms Act bars tribals
from transferring land, the hilly area land which forms 90% of the state's land, to a non-tribal. Whereas the cookies, on the other hand, they are confined to those hills and they are also the minority in the state. They demand genuine implementation of Article 371C, which was added through the 1972 presidential order, which enables the president to form hill area committees, which allows the cookie communities to administer themselves. However, this was not implemented properly. Therefore, further, they also demand inclusion of Manipur in the 6th schedule of the Constitution. Therefore, the constitutional framework exists, which is Article 371C, through the presidential order. However, this was not implemented properly, therefore the situation remains the same. The only way out is to develop Manipur. Implement the law in spirit, not just in letter. Because when two communities share a future, they find they need each other. And when that day comes, they will reunite, as they always have at MéLAWnge. Thank you.
Thank you, Ananya. I would like to request Sarthak Das to narrate a small snippet from his piece titled Welcome to the AI Jungle.
Thank you. Before I begin, I would like to thank the magazine committee for giving me this opportunity to speak at the 95th edition of the magazine launch, and I would like to congratulate them on the 95th edition of the magazine launch. Much like Gayatri, I've not been writing for the magazine committee since my first year. This is actually the second time I've written for the magazine committee, because every other time I was disbarred due to being a member of the magazine committee. But my article talks about a very important question on the regulation of artificial intelligence. And the last editions, this is the 94th edition of the magazine. Now the 94th edition of the 94th edition of the magazine's feature interview was Justice G.S. Patel. And we had asked him a question about AI, and this was his response. This is the mistake you make. You think artificial intelligence begins and stops with ChatGPT. It doesn't. What does artificial intelligence do? It detects patterns. People use this word AI as if it's some Maha mantra. What is artificial intelligence? The two words together are actually horrible as opposed to natural stupidity. He continues, AI is not a solution, AI is not a destination, AI is a walking stick on the road to another destination. Now, the question really becomes, what is this destination? Now, the precipitous rise of artificial intelligence applications has raised a very important question for our civilization, legal, ethical, social, etc. Many of you must have read the news that recently Anthropic's Claude AI, they are not releasing a recent LLM model simply because of how powerful it is. They are scared of what it might do. Now, my article discusses a very small legal aspect of this question on whether these artificial intelligences, multi-million dollar, multi-billion dollar companies can use copyrighted material to train their data sets, as Justice Patel says, to detect these patterns without compensating them adequately. Now, there are two landmark judgments on this, both from the United States on fair use. For those of you who don't know fair use is basically if you have copyrighted material, I can use it without compensating you, fair use. Now, there are four-factor tests in the United States is purpose and character, nature of copyrighted work, amount of copyrighted work, and market substitution. Now, both the district judges in the United States in the Meta case as well as in the Anthropic case have held that this AI use is permitted as long as it is legally acquired. Essentially meaning as long as these AI companies legally acquire X number of books. For example, Anthropic acquired 1 million copies of hardbound books, scanned them, and then threw those books away. This is what they have done to 1 million copies, which is 10 lakh books, to train their AI models. And then they have also relied on pirated versions of these books, millions of books. And this is the only thing which has come in favor of the authors. That piracy itself is not allowed as long as it's legally acquired AI companies can use copyrighted material, which in my mind is catastrophic for human creativity, which I'll come to in a few minutes. Now, why it becomes important in the Indian context is OpenAI has a case pending against it in the Delhi High Court, filed by ANI Technologies, which is a news company. Now, the question before the Delhi High Court will be very simple in the sense is whether ANI is eligible to get compensation, to get remunerated for the information which has been used by ChatGPT and OpenAI based on their scraping of this information and this data. Now, the four-factor test has been assimilated in the Indian jurisprudence to a Supreme Court judgment. However, the Copyright Act itself does not permit any of these four factors as a fair use. So this is a very interesting question. I implore all of you to read the article and try to think about what will be the future of human creativity in this aspect. Now, I'd like to end my speech because I have very little time. Just a question to the crowd. Anyone, all of you can raise their hands. Who here uses AI in their daily life? I'm seeing a conservative estimate because I'm pretty sure that all of you have some of these applications on your mobile. Now, I'd like to end with Yuval Noah Harari's modern classic, Sapiens. Now, in Sapiens, Yuval Noah Harari has discussed the civilizational superpower of human beings, of Homo sapiens. Anyone wants to guess what that superpower is?
Creativity. Organization.
Creativity is very close. Yuval Noah Harari has said that our ability, our civilizational superpower comes from our ability to tell stories, to weave stories. And without that ability, there is nothing which distinguishes us from animals, from a dog, from a cat. And now, stepping aside from this legal question, I implore everyone in this room to think about this question. Reliance on artificial intelligence is taking away our creativity, is taking away our ability to think independently, to think without reliance on this artificial intelligence model. And we should not be forgetting our civilizational superpower to think independently, to think creatively, and to tell personal stories. Because without this creativity of human stupidity, as Justice G.S. Patel calls it, we don't have any of the amazing works that we get to read. We don't have Premchand's Godan, we don't have Tagore's Gitanjali, we don't have Gandhi's Harijan, and close to home, we don't have GLC's MéLAWnge. Again, I'd like to congratulate the magazine committee for the 95th edition of the magazine, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Sarthak. Epilogue is our monthly newsletter where copy editors of the committee contribute by writing on contemporary topics. Epilogue is a relatively recent endeavor of the magazine committee. We are glad to say that Epilogue turned 2 years old in October 2025. I would like to call upon Atish Dhawan and Shri Prabhu to talk about their article titled Bindis, Ballads and Bihan.
Good afternoon, everyone. So this article was written against the backdrop of Bihar Assembly elections. So in this article, we attempted to evaluate the social, political and economic implications of a new political strategy which is seemingly being embraced by parties across the ideological spectrum. This strategy was nothing but incumbent governments across the country transferring money into the bank accounts of women. While direct cash transfers are not really novel to our political system, it was interesting to see poll-bound state after poll-bound state transferring money into the bank accounts of women on election eve, which actually alluded to the fact that political parties were finally seeing women as a more reliable and dependable political constituency. And why wouldn't they? Women have been consistently outpacing men in exercising their franchise in elections. While these measures are encouraging and provide some degree of economic respite to voters, they cannot be touted as substitutes for a larger, more sustainable welfare system. Moreover, they are lazy and complacent. And I'm not calling the Indian female voter lazy and complacent. I'm pretty sure every paisa she receives from the government is used more prudently and judiciously on resources she actually needs. But our political class can be more imaginative than this. These can't be the solutions for issues that have been plaguing our rural economy. Issues like agrarian distress, outdated agrarian practices, dipping rural demand, and stagnant wages. Moreover, the hypocrisy of the political class is not lost on any one of us. When they are in the opposition, they tout these measures as freebies, raveries, and bribes. But when they are in power, they seem to endorse and embrace such schemes.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Atish. To pick up on what Shrihari said, post the Bihar elections, there was a huge clamoring for women empowerment and the fact that women were the center of the electoral narrative. However, as our article points out, there was actually a decrease in the percentage of female candidates who contested the elections in Bihar, with the number being a mere 9.8%. In a way, there has been a certain commoditization of the female vote, with political parties realizing that these cash transfer schemes are a simple but effective way to swing the female voter base. But this is not empowerment. This is actually a very comfortable position for male politicians to take, wherein they use this narrative for their own benefit and their own profit, but at the same time enjoy their exclusive space without the fear of any real disruption. They ensure that women remain policy recipients and not policy makers. To conclude, I think there is something that we can all reflect on. If you are an incumbent government who has been in power for numerous years, and at the time of elections you still rely on a simple cash transfer scheme to swing the election your way, is it not more a reflection on your failure as a ruling government to put your people and your women in a position where they can demand more permanent, more sustainable solutions? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Atish and Srihari. Apart from the various publications, the magazine committee also conducted its 3 annual essay writing competitions: the Bell's Lettres J.E. Dastoor Short Fiction Essay Writing Competition, the Dinesh Vyas Memorial Government Law College National Legal Essay Writing Competition, and the Sir Dinshaw Mulla Legal Essay Writing Competition. The Bell's Lettres J.E. Dastoor Short Fiction Essay Writing Competition, supported by the J.E. Dastoor Memorial, is an annual short fiction writing competition that attracts students from colleges around the country. The competition aims to cultivate and exercise the creativity of participants by having them attempt their hand at invigorating and exciting story prompts. This year as well, we saw overwhelming response from participants with over 300 registrations. We also conducted the 23rd edition of the Dinesh Vyas Memorial Legal Essay Writing Competition. This competition, supported by the Dinesh Vyas Memorial Trust, acts as a national platform for law students to engage with contemporary legal issues. We are very pleased to announce the winners of this edition. In the 5th position, we have Muhammad Suhaib from Department of Law, Aligarh Muslim University. In the 4th position, we have Kunal Rajpurohit and Bhagwat Sase from our very own Government Law College, Mumbai. In the 3rd position, we have Ranjit Kekan Shamrao from Government Law College, Mumbai, and Yash Kekan Shamrao from National Law University, Nagpur. In the 2nd position, we have Krishnakant Singh from RGNLU and Khushita Garg from Army Institute of Law, Mohali. And in the 1st position, we have Gopal Mishra and Madhav Dwivedi from NMIMS. Unfortunately, some of the winners could not join us today. But now I would like to request our chief guest to felicitate the winners of this year's edition. With that, I request the winners to please approach the stage as their names are called to receive their prizes. The 4th position prize goes to Kunal Rajpurohit and Bhagwat Sase. The 3rd position prize goes to Ranjit Shamrao Kekan. Thank you so much, Justice Sethna. We also organized the 45th edition of the Sir Dinshaw Mulla Legal Essay Writing Competition, which I am proud to say is the oldest competition hosted by Government Law College, Mumbai. Mulla and Craigie, Blunt and Caroe has been the patron of this competition, and we are extremely grateful to them for their continued support and benevolence. Mr. Shardul Thakur, having been part of the magazine committee, encourages the development of literary skills amongst GLC students through this competition year after year. This support and encouragement has been continued by Ms. Khooshnum Daviervala, whose counsel and guidance has been priceless to us. Although Mr. Thakur could not be here, Ms. Daviervala is here with us today. We would like to request her to felicitate the winners of the Sir Dinshaw Mulla Legal Essay Writing Competition. I request the winners of the competition to please approach the dais as their names are called to receive their prizes. The third prize goes to Ms. Niharika Gupta. The second prize goes to Mr. Sujit Jacob. And the winner of the 45th edition of the Sir Dinshaw Mulla Legal Essay Writing Competition is Ranjit Kekan. We now request Ms. Daviervala to say a few words.
Good afternoon, everybody. Honorable Mr. Justice Advait Sethna, respected Principal of Government Law College, faculty, distinguished guests, dear students, and the support staff. It is truly a privilege to be here today at the Government Law College, Mumbai, a place that has shaped not just my career, but my identity as a lawyer. Returning to this institution as a former student and now as a partner of MéLAWnge and Craigie, Blunt and Caroe is both humbling and deeply nostalgic. I first walked into these halls in 1995, full of ambition but unsure of the path ahead. What this college gave me was far more than legal education. It instilled discipline, integrity, and a deep respect for law. It is especially meaningful that we are gathered here for the Sir Dinshaw Mulla Legal Essay Competition, named after Sir Dinshaw Fardunji Mulla, a towering figure in Indian jurisprudence and founder of our firm. His legacy continues to guide generations of lawyers, and it is heartening to see the spirit still alive in all of you. I don't know how many of you are aware, but his statue stands in the lawns of the Bombay High Court. Competitions like these are not merely academic exercises. They encourage you to think critically, to question, and to articulate your ideas with clarity. These skills are the ones that will define your journey in the profession. To all the winners, many congratulations. And to those who participated, remember, the pursuit of excellence matters more than the outcome. Law is a long journey, and perseverance will always be your greatest asset. As I stand here today, I am reminded that the values you absorbed during your time here will stay with you lifetime. Cherish them. Thank you for having me here. It has been an honor. Thank you.
Thank you for doing the honors, ma'am. We congratulate the winners and thank all those who participated in the competition. and made them a great success. We are deeply grateful for Justice Sethna to kindly sparing his valuable time with us today. It is a privilege to have your Lordship in our midst, and we are certain that your words will offer great insight and inspiration to everyone present. With that, we most respectfully invite Justice Sethna to address the gathering.
Respected Principal Dr. Asmita Vaidya, Ms. Khooshnum Daviervala, the Executive Editor of the Magazine Committee, professors, members of the Magazine Committee, students, and one and all present here. Namaskar and a very good afternoon. I am delighted as always to come back to my alma mater. It is homecoming as always for me, and I must share with you that this is the first time that I am coming to Government Law College after my elevation a couple of years ago. And what better occasion can it be on inaugurating the 95th edition, as I am told, of MéLAWnge, the early annual magazine of the Government Law College. I would start with what Dr. Asmita Vaidya said. I have heard her saying this when she starts a Saraswati Vandana, Naman to Goddess Saraswati, who embodies wisdom and knowledge. This is so crucial and relevant for the event that we have all gathered here. The articles which all of you have contributed, which reflects a part of your creativity, your intellect, is nothing but dissemination of knowledge that you have gathered. This makes this magazine not merely a periodical publication, but something much more. As a student years ago, I did not have the opportunity of contributing articles or in any manner to the, of course there were magazines, there was an annual magazine even at that time. But after hearing all of you, I really miss that I think that I lost a great opportunity. But anyway, I have regained that loss, and in a much better manner, by hearing some snippets and even quickly going through the pages of the magazine, the articles, the perspectives, which are so extremely invigorating, exciting, and intellectually stimulating. All of us hear about art of advocacy. There are lectures, there are symposiums, there are seminars. A lot of people talk about it. And the thought that all of us, and even as students and budding lawyers, get is art of advocacy is confined to what you are doing in courts. As in, when you are arguing, how do you argue? How do you read the mind of the judge? What is the pulse of the judge going to be like? And these are the traits in a nutshell of what art of advocacy really is. But what comes to my mind, which I would like to share today, is that behind this art in courtroom, that you argue, you try your level best to convince a judge to be in your favor, comes the drafting, which is an extremely integral and important part of this art of advocacy. Just imagine, people many a times mistake between an advocacy skill or the art of advocacy when it comes to a courtroom, which is not just speaking good English. With utmost respect, this is my personal view. There are lawyers who do brilliantly well in terms of their preparation. Many a times they are not able to express as well as many of the students that I heard, which even gave me a complex. And when I am called here to speak, I do not know how much I would be able to, do justice, the way they present it, the confidence that they repose. But then, in courts, what saves the day, more particularly for a junior lawyer, is drafting. Now, why do I say that? Because as judges, if a lawyer many a times is unable to express, he is well prepared but he is unable to express. Like I'll just come to it in a couple of minutes, the article on language barriers, and which is a part of this year's magazine. And he fumbles. The judges or the judge would always look at the pleadings as to whether what is there in the pleadings, what are the prayers that are sought for, how is the case canvassed in the pleadings, and then we will help the lawyer or try to get from the lawyer that, all right. Or sometimes, there are instances where you have lawyers who are brilliant orators, absolutely brilliant. With utmost respect, there are a lot of senior people who have that trait, and sometimes it is even gifted, it's a quality. But then, when we ask them, and this happens to judges may not have, they may not be gifted with language. It is not a necessary concomitant. But then when we ask them that, Mr. So-and-so, where is this in your pleading? Have you taken note of this? Or has this particular prayer that you are seeking for, is it reflected in your prayer clause? And there comes, and there the respected lawyer becomes shaky. So this is where drafting scores a point. And with utmost respect, what I find is, this is again my personal view, that this is not given as much importance as advocacy in courts is. But drafting is equally the heart and soul of advocacy, as much is your skills as a lawyer when you're presenting your case before the court. This, and as a part of the magazine committee, when you contribute to articles, whether you're a part of the magazine committee, I realize that you are not able to, somebody said you are restricted from contributing to articles. But when you are writing at that stage, so what happens is your intellectual creativity is not restricted by any kind of limitations. Now, if you take topics like, breaking glass ceilings, importance for women's role in the judiciary, whether it is breaking glass ceilings or it is tokenism, then somebody spoke about freebies, someone spoke very nicely about health issues, mental health, which is an poignant problem today. Bihar elections, these are some instances from this year's magazine. I also read some article from the last year's magazine on the practices in the Kamakhya temple. Now, these are articles or these are stories which are told by you, where you get complete freedom of expression without reasonable restrictions. You get where I'm coming from? I'm coming from a constitutional perspective. Okay? So without reasonable restrictions, which will not happen when you become, when you climb the ladders in the profession, when you become a lawyer, when you become a senior lawyer, when you become a judge. We were discussing, in the green room, the same thing as Dr. Vaidya was mentioning to us, that when you are sitting in the chambers in your chamber as a principal, or when you are sitting on the dais as a judge, you have to think twice before whatever you speak, because that freedom is always curtailed, or that freedom is always regulated rather by reasonable restrictions, that does not come into your way when you are expressing. Of course, there is a decorum that you maintain, but that apart, I'm sure that with the students of Government Law College and with all of you, and when you have people who are guiding you, you have my esteemed professor, Professor Daviervala, you have now people over here, you have Dr. Vaidya who's the editor-in-chief. So they are all there to guide you, they are all there to mentor you. So therefore, you are at your best when you are expressing. And these are essential traits. And that is why more and more people should be encouraged to express themselves. And I am happy that you have a segment, even in local language or a regional language, where you can express yourself. Because ultimately, when you move on in the profession, what happens is, even if you are, say you are working with a law firm, you may have a question that what is the art of advocacy going to do, or what is drafting going to do? But that is so very important, because if you are in a law firm where you are doing transactional work, where you are drafting contracts, unless and until you have that clarity of thought, and unless and until you have that intellect, that freedom of how you want to think and how you want to gather the pieces together, the brevity, which is so very important, and not make things lengthy. Right? So all of these qualities are developing when you are contributing to such magazines or such publications. Another thing that is important and which all of you should note is, it is so incredible that you read, you interact. As students, you get to interact with stalwarts. This time, our senior advocate, Mr. Dhruv, has given his perspective on income tax, which is a very niche area, particularly the act which is now going to be promulgated, the Income Tax Act of 2025. Concepts like DAR, concepts like disputes resolution in income tax, their perspectives given by the former judges, Dr. Sikri, Justice Patel, as someone mentioned about. So this is how your horizons broaden. Your ability to tell stories develops, right? And that is the importance which we unfortunately did not realize when we were students. Because for us, the activity which glued us the most and attracted the most is moot courts. Of course, moot courts is very important. But equally important is activities like what your magazine committee is doing. And personally, I am thoroughly impressed with the initiatives taken, like Lex Cryptic, like that, knockout section, and that shows the creativity of the magazine committee, the professors, and the persons in charge. That their guidance is so very vital. I would like to share a little perspective as far as artificial intelligence is concerned. Some student, as I was saying, spoke extremely well and lucidly about what artificial intelligence is. And he quoted from Sapiens, and he quoted from Justice Patel's piece. my personal view on this is how, just little food for thought, how intelligence can be artificial. Intelligence is your very own. Every person today who is born with intelligence. It is not fed by a robot. Right? The degrees of intelligence vary. Philosophically, again, if I don't want to burden people with philosophy here, but there's a difference between intelligence and intellect. That we will reserve for some other time. But so therefore, the point being that how can it be artificial? It is your own. Right? Can you it has an intrinsic copyright. Just think, can artificial intelligence be copyrighted? Cannot. Correct? So therefore artificial intelligence is only as technology advances, with the advent of technology, it is only a tool to help, to assist, so that you can perform better. But it can be a facilitator. It can never substitute your own intelligence, your own ability to tell a story, which can never be artificial. So therefore, see, the name says it all. Artificial can never be natural, and natural cannot be artificial. Right? The other perspective about, some students said about health and mentioned about mental health. It is something which is extremely important. It is not a very happy situation today that students are facing issues of mental health. At our time, we only heard about, when it comes to health, it was, some viral infection or something, a common cold or a cough or some kind of a serious, God forbid, disease a person could have. But we didn't have an idea about what mental health is. Today in courts, we have matters where people are not able to appear in the exams due to a simple thing like insomnia. And there is a lot of debate going on as to whether insomnia can be considered to be a mental health illness. Why? Because people having insomnia, they cannot focus. They don't have the ability. It is not their fault, but lack of sleep leads to so many problems, which is tested by medical science. So these are the issues before us, and I'm glad that year after year, the magazine committee, people like Ms. Daviervala and all of them, with their experience, they are helping the students, and the students, of course, undoubtedly, they are using their own intellect, which is not artificial, to contribute in their own manner to issues which need issues which need to be debated, issues which need to be discussed without reasonable restrictions. That is the importance of contributing to such periodicals like MéLAWnge. So congratulations to one and all of you who have got this opportunity to be a part of this great initiative. And I would exhort you all that you should, in large numbers, come forward, contribute, express yourself without any kind of fear or favor, to the best of your ability, on different issues which ultimately help in building a better society. So thank you very much, and wish you all the best.
Thank you, Justice Sethna. Your words were very encouraging. I would like to now call upon our Chief Student Editors, Ms. Aaryaa and Ms. Isha Kulkarni, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for coming today on a Saturday morning at that. Firstly, we want to thank our Chief Guest, Honorable Justice Sethna, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for taking the time out and gracing us with your presence. In fact, sir is also judging the final rounds of another moot court competition, so he still graciously agreed to come to that event. Sir, it means a lot. Thank you so much. And your words were truly inspiring. We would also like to thank our guest of honor, Ms. Khooshnum Daviervala. Mulla and ma'am herself has been a constant patron of the magazine committee, and she's been coming for launch for about 2 years now. We couldn't be more grateful to Mulla and Khooshnum ma'am herself for extending their constant and unwavering support. Our heartfelt gratitude also goes to our principal ma'am and editor-in-chief Dr. Asmita Vaidya ma'am. She has played a very pivotal role in the magazine committee, and without her the committee would not even be able to publish this edition of the magazine. We are equally indebted to our executive editor, Professor Dr. Daphal sir, for his constant encouragement and guidance. Sir has always been there for us throughout the year as a rock. So we extend our deepest gratitude to him. We extend our gratitude to Professor Daswani as well, whose dedication in curating and hosting our crossword less cryptic year on year has enriched this edition of MéLAWnge as well. We also extend our sincere gratitude to Mulla, the Dinesh Vyas Trust and J. Dastoor Trust for their generous support for our writing competitions. And lastly, Professor Pitawala, who's our professor in charge, who again has been a rock for this committee. Unfortunately, Professor Pitawala couldn't be here today since he's miles away in US, but he has very kindly offered an address which I would request Aaryaa to read out.
So, this is the message sent by Professor Pitawala, which reads, Honorable Chief Guest, dear professors and my dear students, I consider it to be my misfortune not to be here with you on this auspicious day today. However, it is a great privilege to convey to you my heartfelt wishes from more than 10,000 miles away for a successful launch of our college magazine. I have personally seen the hard work, the teamwork and the sincere efforts that go into the making of our college magazine. I therefore take this opportunity to thank all the members of the magazine committee and all other students without whose dedication this would not have been possible today. I wish all those who are present here today all the best. That's Pitawala from the USA.
It has been 3 long, tiring, but extremely rewarding years of hard work. When I first joined the magazine committee, I felt an instant sense of belongingness, a sense of community. From being a copy editor to a JC member and now the chief student editor, MéLAWnge has been personal for me. It never felt like work, no matter how tiring a day we would have had. We've always shown up. Not because we had to, but because we wanted to. I remember for one of our segments, Her Legal Insight, we were interviewing senior advocate Ms. Indra Jaising ma'am. And she was in Mumbai for a little while, and scheduling an interview as it is was very difficult. And I just have this image of both Aaryaa and I holding our heavy bags, taking half a day off from our internships with half of our pans wet, going to her chambers to interview her. In hindsight, I don't think I would have ever shown up for any commitment in the rainy season for really anything other than MéLAWnge. But such was our commitment, not because of anything else, but pure and sheer love for the committee and the magazine. I am so glad that our work has finally come to fruition. From conducting interviews with legal luminaries to designing, all of it has been extremely rewarding. I want to thank a couple of people. I think it's only fair that I do that. Sarthak, Mithul, Drishik, these 3 people were our chief student editors last year. And they really paved the way in a sense that it made it seem easier than it is. I also want to thank the person I'm sharing the dais with, Aaryaa. This has been the most effortless equation I've shared with really anybody. In the long tenure that we've had, we've not had any fight. And that's not to say that we've always seen eye to eye, but that is to say that we've always understood each other, and I have perhaps taken a backseat and said, okay, let Aaryaa have it. And sometimes she has said the same thing. So thank you, Aaryaa. I don't think I could have done this without you. I also want to thank my lovely JC members who have really been the backbone of this committee. I think the magazine committee has been thriving for the past year and a half because it found its people. All of us share a fire in our belly, a collective passion that is towards the committee. And I think that really shows in this edition. They've shown up for each and every meeting, designing, event, whether they've been sick, tired, have had internships, have had assignments, they've shown up. This edition particularly flourishes only because of their efforts, and I cannot thank each one of them enough for sharing the same passion as I. It is quite a bittersweet moment for both Aaryaa and I. We've spent 3 years of our college life with this committee, easily making it the most meaningful contribution of our college life. I'm so glad that these years of hard work have finally come to fruition in the form of the 95th edition of MéLAWnge, and now it is yours to read, to feel, and to go through. I really hope you enjoy it as much as we did in making it, and thank you lastly to the members of the audience for showing up and celebrating this big milestone with us. Means a lot. Thank you so much.
I think personally I knew that I'd enjoy my time at the MAGCOM at my first interaction with the committee, which was an interview which was held at 6 a.m. The very idea of the interview timings told me that they mean serious business. Business which I've grown to love over the past 3 years that I've been a part of the committee. I remember my seniors saying that this magazine is a labor of love, and I truly understood the meaning of that term when I saw the culmination of a year's worth of hard work pressed, binded, and embossed with the magazine. I was privileged enough to both have served as a junior core member and then have had junior core members work with me. Both experiences were wildly eye-opening on just how much I could grow to care about the magazine and how contagious the love and care can become. A huge part of my love for this magazine comes from the cutthroat determination my 12th grade English teacher drilled into me about writing, and my seniors will only encourage it further. A big thank you goes out to Swalaya ma'am, Anushka, Drishik, Sarthak, and Mithil for this. It would be a disservice if I don't mention how much hard work and sheer effort has been put into the curating of this event by my dearest junior co-members, Riya, Dhruv, Ayush, Aayaan, Shragvi, Ananya, Gloriah, Neity, and Aabha. They ensure that every event goes through smoothly. I'd also like to take a moment to thank Isha, to whom I can proudly say that MéLAWnge has been the binding that has bound us together for the most wonderful tenure. A huge thank you to our copy editors as well, who've been running from pillar to post, or should I say Riddhi to college, for their tremendous help in ensuring the event and the publication will be perfect. Now that I've thanked everyone who's worked on creating the magazine, I'd like to thank my parents and my friends who've heard me incessantly talk about the magazine for the past year, who've encouraged and supported me through this entire journey, and for most of all, never saying no to any of my magazine-related requests. Even if it meant flying me down from Delhi for just a day so I wouldn't miss knockout. On that note, I'd like to thank the audience for being patient and taking interest in our endeavors. I request all of you to please rise for the state and national anthem, following which you may collect your magazines and proceed to room number 3 for breakfast.
Krishna भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उज्जल जलधि तरंगा तब शुभ नामे जागे तब शुभ आशीष मागे गाहे तब जय गाथा जन गण मंगल दायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
Before we conclude the event, I have a few small announcements for the audience members. There is a doodle of a fish in one of the copies of the magazine. So this is a fun little. Okay, sorry. Before that, we request all the members of the magazine committee, junior co-members, to come on the stage. And all the staff members. I request all the audience members to be seated for a moment. Thank you.
Starting I did not do law, I started with engineering after MBA, after that I just admitted in law, that's it. And for the past 3-4 years, I'm working in government.
It's quite interesting how you give engineering, then law, then again MBA.
Just continue learning, I guess.
Other person, is he your brother or what? In the DB.